Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jose Vega, and in this episode, we are going to be talking about how to sketch your environments. Let's check it out. Okay, so now that we are in Photoshop here, let's go over a few things that I want you to keep in mind when you're sketching and creating ideas for your environments. And let's make a canvas here real quick. And one of the things that I want you, or probably the main thing that I want you to consider as you're doing this, is to keep it simple, right? When we're sketching environments, environments could be vast and big. They could be interiors, outside, inside, different lighting scenarios. But when we're making ideas, keeping it simple is probably your best friend here, because you want to create as many ideas as possible in the short amount of time, or in the shortest amount of time. And the only way you can do that is to limit in some of your things that you're gonna work through. So I'm not gonna worry about brushes. I'm not gonna worry about super detailed stuff. So this is for sketching very quick environments. You want to spend just a few minutes per thumbnail or sketch. And one of the ways that you can do that is, if you're working in black and white, is to limit your value palette, right? So what that means is that, or limit your values. And what that means is that if I see my range here in Photoshop of all my grays, I'm not gonna work all these values here. So what I'm gonna do is that if I have my canvas here, which is already a value, is white, and I could change that to maybe like a light gray or something. I'm probably only gonna pick 1 to 3 different values to work with. Sometimes I just start with 1 and I just start sketching from here, right? And I start working my idea out. So I'll work with the thickness of the brush and all that, but I want to keep it very, very, very simple. And I'll show you some examples in a little bit, but this is one of the things that I keep in mind. I usually sometimes just use one brush. Sometimes if I want to give it like an extra touch, I'll use the smudge tool just to kind of soften some of the edges. But limiting your value will help you go through this process a little bit faster as well. And you want to keep things very simple, right? You want things to read in a thumbnail version. So when you start adding details, that will also read. The other thing is that sometimes if I'm working on like an interior or something that has a lot of architecture, perspective grid is your friend. So in the previous video, I show how to do a perspective grid in Photoshop, so you can go and check that out. But if I have my horizon line, I can simply create my perspective and use this as my guide to place my architecture or my my interior. Like if this is a room here, there's like a big door at the bottom, at the end, and there's like lights here. So I'll use this perspective to guide me through that process. And from there is really just to put the idea down. I do have some reference for the next for the videos that for the sketches that you're gonna see here. I have some reference here from some ruins. Something pretty basic and simple. But as you're doing this, if you're practicing perspective, stick to a subject that you understand, so you don't have to deal with that as well. And that way you can just concentrate on practicing your perspective. These sketches here, this first one that I'm showing you here, as you can see, I already have a very simple perspective grid. It's a 1-point perspective. Again, if you want to know how I set that up, you can watch my latest video. But in this type of sketches, this is probably the fastest way that I can sketch an environment. And I'm not really thinking about the lighting. I'm not thinking about colors or even mood at this point, because what I want to concentrate on is mostly where I'm gonna place the masses that are gonna be in the final environment. So I want to get that as fast as I can, as quickly as possible. So I'm not thinking about a lot of the later stuff that I will keep adding, but I want to make sure that I have all the masses that I need. Now in this one, this is going to be sort of like a 2-point perspective. And with this one, it's very similar to the first one that I showed you. But in this one, I am thinking about lighting. So I'm thinking a lot and visualizing the forms of the architecture and the ruins and all that, and then visualizing how the lighting is going to be. And that's what's gonna that's what's gonna help me get the most information here to make it readable. And again, I'm limiting myself to very, very few values. I only have the value of the canvas and the value of the brush that I have in, which is a dark gray. And sometimes I add another value just to add a little bit more information, or push things back and forth from the camera. As you can see here, I'm adding just a lighter gray just to add another level of detail that I think could expand how clear this environment is gonna be. Now on this third one, I'm sort of gonna combine the first two techniques, but I'm also gonna add a pictures to it. And this is probably the one that I use the most, because I can get a lot more information in about the same time that I can do the previous ones. And that might be something that might take just a little time to get used to it. But once you get to that point, you can get to I think a more presentable level of sketch with this technique in about the same time. And I think that's that's a great thing, because then you can get more done while the quality and the information that you have in the sketch it's higher. So this works great for games and movies, and I even use this on my animation clients at the studio, or if I have any other animation clients. But I really like using this technique a lot. I'm also adding a person here just for scale purposes, and that way you sort of can determine and know by just looking at the image how big this place is. And this very last one is about the same. It's the same technique as the previous one, just using pictures. I already had a sort of like a block out layout of sort of like the idea that I wanted, and this is mostly just nature, organic stuff. But you can see that if you have a very good silhouetted sketch, you can use the pictures to sort of fill in the silhouette, and then the pictures will give you that extra information of detail that the pictures have to bump up the level of detail on your sketch. And it's gonna make it look a little bit more refined and polished, while sort of spending the same amount of time. And here I want to make sure that I separate where the foreground is and the middle ground, background, and all that. So these techniques I use constantly depending on the amount of time that I have and the clients. But I think this is a good way to start practicing simple compositions and simple sketches like these as you grow in your techniques. All right, guys, so that was it for today's episode. If you have any comments or questions, Let me know in the comment section below so I can actually address them. And if you got some value out of this, please feel free to subscribe, hit the like button. If not, I'll see you guys on the next one.